Right friends, welcome back to comprehension and vocabulary discussion. This morning at 11 o'clock editorial discussion, there was some disruption and we will record it and we will upload that editorial discussion between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock today. Sorry for the interruption as far as that editorial discussion is concerned, and look at this comprehension and vocabulary. And one more important aspect, tomorrow there will not be live sessions because tomorrow is a holiday. So, this comprehension and vocabulary as well as editorial discussions live will be telecast as usual from Monday onwards. So, tomorrow there will not be any live session and editorial discussion will be uploaded around 3 o'clock or so today. Recorded editorial discussion will be uploaded because of disruption at 11 o'clock this morning. And now this is comprehension and vocabulary. This is devil is in the detail. This word quite often we come across. This is with regard to the bad loans, and Monday we are going to deliberate on what women want with regard to the access of financial services to women. They are less, that is why this editorial of 22nd February is of business line, and this will be discussed on 27th Monday. So, let us go ahead. Devil in the detail, and devil in the detail. What is the meaning of this devil in the detail? Before going into it, the still large bad loan book. Bad loans, I need not explain you once again. When the principal or interest or both not paid back for more than 90 days, they become bad loans. There are various categories. The technical name is non-performing assets or NPAs, and here the still large bad loan book, bad loans are more. So, the still large bad loan book not only heightens the risk to earnings, not only heightens the risk, here not only but also, he is using because he wants to emphasize 2 points. That is why he used not only but also. Here bad loans are more. What is the resultant of more bad loans? First one is it will heighten the risk to earnings. Earnings risk will be more, that means earnings will be less, risk will be more. Second point is it impedes fresh lending. It will result in reduction or disruption to fresh lending. So, here the heading is devil in the detail. Look into the meaning. Devil in the detail. Devil in the detail is something which looks so simple, but if you go into the details, then they are complicated. Not only that, that are likely to cause some problems in the future. So, devil is in the detail means something which looks simple, which looks good, but there are some problems if you go in deep into the subject. If you analyze properly, there are certain aspects which are complicated. So, quite frequently we use this word, devil is in the detail. Union budget looks rosy, it gives a rosy picture, but the problem is if you go into the details. So, but the problem is devil is in the detail. So, when you go into the detail, there are some complications. So, under those circumstances we have to use this devil is in the detail, right. Here devil is in the detail. Why he used this is because of the reason this bad loan problem looks resolved, but it is not resolved. There are several problems, and because of large bad loans, 2 problems are there. Profits will be reduced, that means risk to profits will be there. Second point is it will further disrupt further fresh loans, right. So, these 2 aspects are there, not only but also is used because of that. So, we learned devil in the detail and impede Impede, please look into this. Impede means to obstruct the progress. Impede means to obstruct the progress or to make the things more difficult. I have given one example. One person is there, he is affected by polio, but he has reached greater heights. He became an officer. He was affected by polio, but it has not impeded his career. His career was not obstructed. His polio has not come in the way of his progress. For that purpose, this impede is used. So, impede means obstructing the progress or making the things more difficult. So, the second reason what is told here is it impedes fresh lending. It will obstruct further lending. Right. Look at the next one. The rather sanguine reaction of the market. Sanguine. This word means which indicates feel good factor. Everything looks good. Under those circumstances, you have to use sanguine. Rather, this rather than, you have clear idea. Rather is used to indicate several circumstances. I have taken two examples here. Rather is used under several circumstances. I have taken the first example. The train was rather crowded. Rather means to a slight degree. Rather means to a slight degree, then you have to use rather. The train was rather crowded. That means to slight degree it was crowded. Then other important aspect is to express opposite opinion. To express opposite opinion, then also this rather is used. Please look into this sentence. Ending the civil war in Syria is not a cause for celebration. Why it is not a cause for celebration? Because of the reason, but rather for regret that why it ever happened at the first instance. Ending the civil war in Syria is not a cause for celebration. That means definitely it is a cause for celebration, that is different. But more than that, most important aspect is why it occurred at the first instance. Why civil war took place in Syria at the first instance. So, to indicate that meaning, this rather is used. So, the ending civil war in Syria is not a cause for celebration, rather for regret why it happened at the first instance. So, when you are expressing opposite opinion, under normal circumstances, it should be a cause for celebration. When civil war is stopped, it should be cause for celebration. But when opposite meaning is also, opposite opinion is also expressed at the same instance, then this rather is used, right. So, rather is used under these circumstances. Next one is rather than. Rather than means instead of, or you can say to indicate preference. The day was cloudy. The day is cloudy and a boy is telling, I would like to stay at home this evening. I would like to stay at home this evening rather than go out. I do not want to go out rather than go out. So, that means his preference is to stay inside home rather than going out because of the reason it is cloudy. So, rather than, these are to be used carefully. Then sanguine. Sanguine means feel good factor or positive attitude. When somebody is having positive attitude, when some situation has got positive aspects, then you have to say sanguine, or you can say hoping for good things. Here, as Turkey and Russia came together, now Turkey and Russia came together, the international community is more sanguine about the prospects for peace in Syria. The meaning is here international community is hoping for some peaceful solution. That's why it is used, the word used is sanguine. So, international community is more sanguine about the prospects for peace in Syria. Right. So, this sanguine is to be used when some positive aspect is there, then if you go back, bad loan problem is there, there are two problems. Then the rather sanguine reaction, rather I have already told you, to a slight measure, rather means to a slight measure or to a slight degree. With that in intention, this rather is used, the rather feel good attitude of the market. Sanguine attitude means feel good. So, slight degree of feel good reaction of the market following the results of some of the leading public sector banks is understandable. The feel good factor up to certain degree in the market subsequent to the results of leading public sector banks. Public sector banks, they are supposed to release their balance sheets once in 3 months. He is talking about that. So, when leading public sector banks balance sheets are released, then the market is quite sanguine about it. Market is quite positive about it, and this is understandable. After the tumultuous performance last fiscal, owing to RBI's asset quality review, most banks have cut their losses considerably. After the tumultuous performance last fiscal, owing to RBI's asset quality review, RBI has taken up last year asset quality review. What is the meaning of asset quality review? Please classify bad loans. Previously, banks were hiding bad loans. Raghuram Rajan stated clearly, please ensure asset quality review. When something is bad, please declare it bad. So, that is asset quality review. So, owing to, because of RBI's asset quality review, last year there was a tumultuous performance. Tumultuous means, please look into it, when crowd is cheering loudly, then you use tumultuous. You see, Congress Vice President was greeted with tumultuous applause and a standing ovation when he visited Raebareli. So, one example is very loud. Congress Vice President was greeted with tumultuous applause and a standing ovation. This is tumultuous. Other meaning is there. Tumultuous means uncertainty. When there is uncertainty, you can use this tumultuous. After the tumultuous developments of 1990s in Europe, there was a lot of uncertainty in Europe in 1990s after the breakup of USSR or Soviet Union in the year 1991. After the breakup of Soviet Union in the year 1991, there was a lot of uncertainty in European countries, and that is why he used tumultuous. After the tumultuous developments of 1990s in Europe, several countries integrated into European Union. So, please understand, tumultuous is used under two circumstances. The first one is when somebody was greeted with very loud cheers, and at the same time when there is lot of uncertainty, and most of the times when this is used in economy, it indicates lot of uncertainty, right. So, here let us come back to the passage. Here the passage says that after the tumultuous performance last fiscal, the performance was horrible last fiscal, owing to, reason also he is giving in between two commas, he is giving reason, owing to RBI's asset quality review last year, it was a tumultuous performance by various banks, and now most banks have cut their losses considerably. Last year there was a tumultuous performance of the banks, uncertain, or you can say horrible performance of the banks. The reason is RBI's asset quality review. Now most banks have cut their losses. That is the reason for sanguine reaction in the markets, feel good reaction in the markets. So, this para has got many difficult words. How to use rather, sanguine, tumultuous, impede, devil is in the detail. These please understand carefully. look into the next paragraph. The next paragraph, please go through it. Incremental addition to the stockpile of bad loans has slowed. Addition is slowed. That is the reason for sanguine reaction. Here, incremental. Incremental means adding slowly. Incremental is to be used when something happens slowly, gradually, normally in small amounts is incremental. Most of the research in pharmaceutical sector moves on with the incremental advances. In pharmaceutical sector, most of the times research results in incremental advances. That means the advances are small in measure, normally in small measure, which happens gradually. Stockpile. Stockpile, I have given two examples. One is weapons. When large quantity is there, then you have to call stockpile. Then similarly, food kept for future use. In FCI godowns, wheat and rice, millions of tons is stored. For that, the word to be used is the stockpile of food grains. The stockpile of food grains which is stored for future use is stockpile. So, large quantity of weapons, these things you call stockpile, right. Here bad loans are more, bad loans piled up like anything, that is why he used stockpile of bad loans. It is increasing like anything. Now at present they are around 6 lakh crores of rupees gross non-performing assets in the banking system. State Bank of India itself has got gross non-performing assets of around rupees 1 lakh crore. As they are very high, that is why stockpile word is used. Under normal circumstances, you should not use this. You have to use this when the problem is huge or the quantity is huge. Stockpile. Incremental means increase in small quantity. So, incremental addition to the stockpile of bad loans has slowed. It slowed down, leading to a fall in provisioning requirement. Provisioning. Provisioning means when bank is giving a loan, they have to keep some money aside from their profits. When bank is giving loan, they have to keep some money aside from their profits, basically to cover future probable losses. If the borrower is not paying back, bank may have to take losses. So, to cover these losses for each and every loan, depending on the risk of loan, certain money is kept aside by the banks, and this is known as provisioning. As the incremental increase, or you can say the increase or addition to stockpile is slowed in recent times, fall in provisioning requirement. Provisioning requirement has fallen down, that means provisioning reduced at the same time, which resulted in improvement in earnings, right. So, when provisioning is reduced, then earnings will improve, right. So, this para is all about this. Look into the next paragraph. The quarterly slippages of the largest lender, State Bank of India, have halved over the last 2 quarters. In comparison to last 2 quarters, the slippages of State Bank of India reduced to 50%. That is the meaning. From a whopping 20,000 to 30,000 crore in the second half of last fiscal. What is the meaning of whopping? Whopping means extremely large. Then only you have to use this word. Whopping means extremely large. Slippages, I will explain. He used this slippages word to indicate the bad loans. The quarterly slippages of the largest lender. Slippages means when loans are not paid back, then that becomes a slippage, or otherwise it becomes non-performing asset. So, in that context, this word is used. the quarterly slippages of the largest lender, State Bank of India, have become 50% from a whopping 20,000 to 30,000 crores in the second half. Here you see slippage. Slippage means in comparison to the target, if you are not able to achieve, then you have to use slippage. In bank, borrower is supposed to pay back the loan. If he is not paying back, it is a slippage. Suppose exports target is 300 million tons, or you can say $300 billion. Then we are not able to achieve that. Then you have to use slippage. So, if something target is not achieved, then you have to use slippage. The slippage of exports may lead to increase in current account deficit. The slippage of exports may lead to increase in current account deficit. Then slippage, another example, the target for completing this railway project is 31st December 17, but a slippage, that means period going beyond the target means failure. A slippage of 3 months is expected. So, something falling short of target is called slippage. Then opening, I have already told you, you have to use this word when the problem is extremely large. Here the telecom company Airtel has got a opening debt of more than $10 billion. So, this is extremely large, right. Let us go back to the passage. The quarterly slippages of the largest lender. So, 2 commas are there, that means he is talking about largest lender. Who is largest lender? State Bank of India. He is explaining that have became 50% from a hoping 20,000 to 30,000 crores in the second half of last fiscal. In comparison to extremely large 20,000 to 30,000 crores in the second half of last financial year, they reduced to 50%, right. So, slippages reduced. Then other large state owned lenders, that means other banks, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, after reporting record losses previously last year, after reporting record losses, have crawled back into the black, and these 2 words very, very important. Please understand carefully. Crawled back into the black. Here the sentence I will explain, then I will go to the meaning. Here Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, after reporting huge losses last year, have crawled back into the black. So, they came from the situation into positive situation. I will explain this crawled back, when you have to use crawled back. You see, son by deserting the parents, has gone away. Son by deserting the parents has gone away, and after 1 or 2 years, realizing his mistake that he is doing the wrong thing, then he came back to the parents, by admitting that maine galti kar liya, I have done the mistake. So, this is classic example of crawling back. So, admitting the wrong things which were consistently refused in the past. Previously, he has not agreed that he was doing wrong, but now he admitted his mistake. So, the son came crawling back to the parents. Crawling back means previously you were not admitting it, you are doing mistake, but you were not admitting previously, but realizing the mistake. When you are coming back, admitting the mistake, then you have to use crawled back. So, admitting wrong things which were consistently refused in the past is crawling back. So, the son came crawling back to the parents. then in the black, in economy, these two words are very important. Be in the red, be in the black. You have taken a lot of the company, let us see Kingfisher Airlines. Kingfisher Airlines has taken several loans and it is into the debt trap. It owes a lot of money to the bank, and under these circumstances you have to say the company is in the red. When it is under a deep debt, you can say the company is in the red. Then the company is in the black. That means when the company has got money, then you have to say the company is in the black. So, quite frequently you come across the word company is in the red. Company is in the red means deep debt trap. Kingfisher Airlines, all of you are familiar, it is owing thousands of crores of money to the banking system. So, the company is in the red, and Wipro has got surplus cash and the company is in the black. Only to explain you that the company has got money, that is why I used the company's name of Wipro, but Wipro, or you can say using Wipro's example here may not be appropriate, but the point I would like to convey you is when someone says company is in the black, it do not have any debt, and at the same time its financial condition is satisfactory, it has got money for its operations, then you can say the company is in the black. Right, here in the passage, last sentence is here, other large state-owned lenders, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, after reporting record losses last year, have crawled back into the black. Now they came back into the profits. Previously they were into deep problems. Now they crawled back into the black. Right? So please understand this meaning. This is quite a difficult sentence. Right? Look into the next. But the recovery is but means previous sentence is it crawled back into the black. That means the impression is now banks came out of problems. Now banking sector came out of problems, that is the impression, but the reality, but means he want to convey something different from what was stated in the previous sentence, then only normally but is used. But the recovery is nothing more than optical treat. It is optical illusion. It is illusion, it is not real. Calming investor nerves rattled over the past couple of quarters by the sheer quantum of slippages. It is nothing but optical illusion, or you can say it is a mere illusion, and it calmed investor nerves rattled over the past couple of quarters. Rattled over the past couple of quarters. Rattled. Please look into this example. Rattle. I have given one example. Rattled means worrying or nervousness. Here software companies, they are rattled as Donald Trump became the president of USA. The actions of Donald Trump rattled the information technology industry. The meaning is it made the information technology industry nervous, worrisome. That is the meaning, right? So here for the past few quarters, investor sentiment, or you can say investor nerves over rattled because of bad performance of banks. Now this reported recovery is nothing more than optical treat, calming investor nerves rattled over the past couple of quarters by the sheer quantum of slippages. He is talking about previous year. Previous year there was a sheer quantum of slippages. As I have already told you, last year the failure is quite steep. Sheer quantum of slippages. Sheer, it has got two meanings. First one, I have given one example. Sheer is used when extremely steep. Waterfall has a sheer drop of 50 meters, and at the same time to emphasize something, to emphasize the greatness of something, you have to use the sheer. The success in the UPSC examination, his success in UPSC examination was due to sheer determination. Because of sheer determination, he got selected in UPSC examination. It is emphasizing the greatness of the person. Here sheer slippages he is talking about, that means steep slippages. Last year the slippages or bad loans were severe. So, but the recovery is nothing more than an optical treat, calming investor nerves rattled over the past couple of quarters by the sheer quantum of slippages. Last year the slippages were quite steep, that means slippages were quite high, that is why he used sheer quantum of slippages. While the pace of slippages has moderated, the pace of slippages was reduced in recent times, moderated to some limit. Much of the damage has already been done. Much of the damage has already been done. Though the non-performing assets are moderated in recent quarters, but the damage has already been done. What is the damage? With public sector banks alone saddled with over rupees 6 lakh crore of bad loans. Public sector banks alone saddled with, here saddle, it has got two meanings. The first meaning of saddle is, please look into this first example, in control of something. Ratan Tata was in the saddle as the chief executive of Tata Sons for more than 20 years. Saddle means in control of something, right? Now Chandrasekharan is in the saddle as chief executive of Tata Sons. Ratan Tata was in the saddle. Saddle means to control something with position. Then saddled with, this word is quite often used in economy. Saddled with is the situation which is something unpleasant. Airtel is saddled with huge debt, right? Then Snapdeal is saddled with losses in recent quarters. Here State Bank of India is saddled with bad loans of over rupees 1 lakh crore. So, when some situation is unpleasant or difficult, you have to use saddled with, right? Please understand carefully, saddled with indicates unpleasant situation. Here, while the pace of slippages has moderated, much of the damage has been done with the public sector banks alone saddled with more than 6 lakh crores of bad loans. Provisioning requirement can shoot up in the coming quarters if stressed accounts are not resolved quickly and bad loans continue to age. He used this sentence because when bad loans, if that is not resolved and bad loans age, that means today if a loan is recognized as bad loan, then the provisioning requirement will increase with age. After 1 year provisioning is something, after 2 years it will increase. So, like that, as the time passes, the provisioning requirement will increase. That is why banks will be under problems. So, here the sentence is, with PSBs alone saddled with over rupees 6 lakh crore of bad loans, provisioning requirements can shoot up in the coming quarters. Can shoot up means will increase if stressed accounts are not resolved quickly and bad loans continue to age. SBI alone has a little over rupees 1 lakh crore of bad loans, nearly 1/5 of country's fiscal deficit. Country's fiscal deficit is around 5.5 lakh crores of rupees, and out of 5.5 lakh crores of rupees, 1 lakh crores actually is held in bad loans. I am taking it only for comparison purpose. Bad loans is nothing to do with fiscal deficit, only for comparison purpose it is taken, right. So, these words please understand carefully, and saddled with, very important. Then with core earnings, continues to shrink with core earnings continuing to shrink, shrink meaning all of you are well aware, to become smaller. Profits are becoming smaller. One example I have given, Airtel's profits have shrunk substantially due to the competition from Reliance Jio. So, here with core earnings continuing to shrink on account of tepid credit offtake. Credit offtake is not good, is not on the expected lines, then only tepid is used, and in between these two further hit by demonetization. So, he is further elaborating his statement, that means credit offtake is further hit by demonetization. Demonetization is additional compounding factor. Here the core earnings continuing to shrink on account of tepid credit offtake. Here tepid means lack of force or enthusiasm or not very strong. Under those circumstances, you have to use the tepid. In Indian economy today, private investment growth is tepid. There is not much demand for private investment, right. The companies are struggling to boost profits amid tepid sales subsequent to demonetization, not much encouragement to the sales, not much strong growth. So, here under those circumstances, this tepid is used. Go back to the paragraph. With core earnings continuing to shrink on account of tepid credit offtake further hit by demonetization, that means it is a supplementing factor. Many banks have only just managed to stay above water. What is the meaning of this? Banks have just managed to stay above water. What is the meaning? Banks have just managed to just somehow manage. They are not fully out of problems, but they are just managing it for the time being. When somebody is in the water, if he is in water up to this point, there will not be any problem. Under those circumstances, you call he is just above water, right. So, here managed to stay above water means somehow banks are managing the show. In most cases, bad loan provisions are equal to or many times banks operating profit. In many cases, bad loan provisions are equal to or many times banks operating profit, and banks under these circumstances are just managing the show, or just staying above water, or just staying or just surviving. And now despite despite the steep windfall treasury gains that banks reported during the quarter. So, there are some treasury gains. Treasury, I have explained you yesterday. Treasury means banking operations is put it into three. Treasury operations means with investments, with money, market operations, all these things, banks gets some money. So, that is windfall treasury gains. Windfall means getting huge money, getting huge profit, getting more than expected profit. Under those circumstances, windfall is used. So, here despite means here not influenced by something. Here you see, I have given one example. Totally the temperature was very high. The excursion by the school students, proved out to be an enjoyable affair despite heat wave conditions. There was a severe heat. Despite the fact that there were severe heat wave conditions, excursion by the school students was an enjoyable affair, right. Windfall means something received unexpectedly. If huge money is received, huge profits are received unexpectedly, then it is windfall gain. Government got windfall gain through excise duties as petroleum prices reduced in the international market. So, windfall, the shareholders received windfall gains this year because of abnormal profits by the companies. Despite getting windfall gains by the banks, banks are just about to manage or just able to manage. That is the meaning of this paragraph. Then look into the next paragraph. The next paragraph is the silver lining, two commas, until recently, that means until now. The silver lining until recently was the strong performance by private banks. Until now, the silver lining in the entire banking industry, though public sector banks were badly affected, until recent times, the silver lining is private sector banks. Why he used silver lining? Because in the totally uncomfortable scenario, when one advantage is there, then you have to say silver lining. Totally doomed scenario, but among the total doomed scenario also, you may have one advantage, that is the silver lining. Please look into this. Under difficult situation, when some small advantage is there or when some advantage is there, you have to use the silver lining, right. So, here to indicate a very difficult situation has some advantage, and do not take everything in the negative sense. Even a bad person also will have somewhat good character. Under those circumstances, you have to use silver lining. You see, Raghu Kumar is suffering from hypertension. He is suffering from hypertension. That is the bad news. But the silver lining is, from that date onwards, he became more disciplined with daily morning walks and controlled dietary habits. So, he became more disciplined person after the detection of hypertension. Hypertension is a bad thing, but the silver lining is he reformed like anything. So, that is the silver lining here. Till recently, private sector banks used to be silver lining, right, which had mostly emerged unscathed from the RBI's asset quality review activity. They were not affected, unscathed. I will tell you one example. There is one accident. Both the mother, father died. The couple died in the accident, but the 2-year child escaped unscathed. That means without any injury, 2-year boy escaped unscathed. So, unscathed means without any damage, without any injury. Under those circumstances, you have to use unscathed. Here he used unscathed because in the asset quality review of Reserve Bank of India, most of the private sector banks emerged unscathed, emerged without any damage. They were not affected. That is the silver lining. So, recent times, till recently, the silver lining is among the difficult scenario of the banking system, private sector banks were not affected. That is the meaning of this first two sentences. But means something he is telling contrary. But the sudden rise in slippages, in the first sentence he used the silver lining until recently. Now, but the sudden rise in slippages, that means now onwards, that means for the past 1 or 2 quarters, the sudden rise in slippages. Previously, the silver lining were private sector banks. They were not affected, but now for the past few quarters, rise in slippages of large lenders like Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, aside from raising some niggling questions, from bothering questions, some doubts in the mind. So, slippages of ICICI Bank, Axis Bank raised in recent times, along with some niggling questions. Niggling, I will explain you. Niggling means here annoying, worrying, troubling, irritating, petty questions. So, here you see this lady has been suffering from niggling back pain for the past 10 years. So, troubling, irritating, petty. So, it is not a huge problem, but it is a minor problem persisting, some minor doubts. So, under those circumstances only niggling you have to use, not all the times. So, here there are some niggling doubts about the performance of this private sector lenders. In recent times, the bad loans problem surfaced, or you can say increasing in ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, have also weighed on the performance of the entire bank. Entire bank means entire banking system he is talking about. So, here such as ICICI Bank and Axis Bank, aside from some raising niggling questions, have also weighed on the performance of the entire pack, with profits shrinking for 2 quarters in a row. For the past 2 quarters, some of the private sectors are also affected. Previously, silver lining was private sector banks because they were left unscathed, they emerged unscathed, they emerged without problems. But now they are also into problems, and several niggling questions are also being raised about the performance of ICICI, Axis and other banks. Right. So, look into the next paragraph. We have to rush out because 2 more paragraphs are there. The only way to free up banks' balance sheet and revive investment appetite. Appetite. There are 2 meanings. One meaning is normally the feeling of taking food is appetite. The feeling of wanting for food, that means I am hungry, my appetite, that means I am feeling, I have a feeling that I want to take food, that is appetite. But when appetite is used in economy, that indicates that the climate for investment, or you can say the just similar to appetite in human beings, when I am hungry, I have appetite for taking food. Similarly, investment appetite, that means the investment climate which is asking for more and more investments is investment appetite. So, subsequent to 2008 financial crisis, the investment appetite in several countries collapsed. Only way to free up banks' balance sheet and revive investment appetite of stressed companies is to hasten the resolution process. Hasten, it has to be done too fast, more than normal. Under those circumstances only you have to use hasten. When something happened more quickly, then only you have to use hasten. Here you see the persistent differences between Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry hastened the exit of Cyrus Mistry from Tata Sons. So, something when it happens more quickly, sooner than anticipated, right. So, then only you have to use hasten. So, the requirement is hasten the resolution process. Asset reconstruction companies set up for this purpose. All of you are familiar with asset reconstruction companies which were set up for this purpose have been limited success, have seen limited success. Owing to means reason he is giving. Owing to scarce capital, capital was not available. That is why he used scarce word, and delays in the functioning of debt recovery tribunals. So, these are the reasons why ARCs are not successful. So, scarce means not easy to find. India should make optimum use of scarce resources so as to reduce poverty. Then lifting the cap on promoters holding in an ARC has been done away with recently, easing up capital raising. Recently some reforms were made, you can understand this. There is now an urgent need to kickstart. Previously we used hasten, now kickstart. Kickstart means to make something to happen more quickly, push it fast, that is kickstart. There is a need to kickstart public investment as the climate of private investment is tepid. So, kickstart means to make something to happen more quickly. So, there is a need for kickstarting the resolution process under the new bankruptcy code which was brought by the government last year. Also, in finding ready takers for businesses under the Reserve Bank of India's various restructuring schemes or selling loans to ARCs. Lack of concurrence of the serviceable or sustainable portion of the debt has impeded the resolution. He is talking about this strategic debt restructuring. So, what he want to convey is resolution process of bad loans. There are several mechanisms available and all these mechanisms must be kick-started, right. So, that is the meaning of this paragraph, and now hence banks need to be empowered. We discussed several times, empowered means giving more freedom to the organization, that is empowerment. So, banks need to be empowered to take huge haircuts. What is the meaning of haircut? Here you see haircut, there are two meanings. The first meaning I need not explain. What is the second meaning? Second meaning is normally used in business parlance. Haircut means reduction in the amount of money. Haircut. There are losses, let us assume there are losses to Snapdeal, HSBC, let us assume. Then the employees are required to take 10% haircut. What is the meaning of haircut? They have to reduce salaries by 10%. So, when there is some reduction in the amount of money in economy, we use the term haircuts. So, here to solve the bad loan problem, banks are required to go for haircuts. Suppose 100 crore loan is there, in the resolution banks may be required to agree for 40 crores, 50 crores. They cannot insist that I require 100 crores because there is problem. To come out of the problem, banks should be in a position to bear the losses through haircuts. Haircuts means they should be agreeable for reducing the amount of money for the bad loans, right, to restore viability in some projects. So, for restoring viability, then some haircuts may be required. So, viability means ability to become successful. So, for any project to become successful, then it requires sometimes to go for haircuts. So, some haircuts are required to restore viability in some projects. Several bank loans with haircuts may become viable. Companies may come out of red. They become successful. Under those circumstances, banks may be required to go for haircut also. For this, the center needs to move ahead on structural reforms. Center should look at structural reforms like operationalizing the bank boards bureau or setting out a clear roadmap, consolidation within the sector or reducing the stake in public sector banks. These are the structural changes suggested by the editorial of Business Line newspaper. So, we discussed several words like devil is in the detail, this haircut, like this. We have come across several words in this passage. So, I hope you enjoyed this passage and please listen to carefully and please keep in mind where to use these words. So, on Monday 27th February, we will discuss what women want, that is the Business Line editorial of 22nd February 2017, and please do join on Monday as usual for this comprehension discussion at 12 noon. And I would like to remind you, today at 11 o'clock editorial discussion could not take place because of some problems, and that will be uploaded as a recorded video at around 3 p.m. today. Right, friends? With this, let us conclude the comprehension ability discussion for today. Have a nice day. Thank you.